In this video, I want to talk about how you can create more demand for your business, your online services, your agency. Let's get it going. What's going on, guys? Greg here, Alt Agency at altagency.com. And I wanted to talk about how you can create more demand for your services so that people are coming to you. Now, this is going to impact you if you have kind of a irregular amount of leads coming to you each and every month. Your revenue is up and down. If you're doing any sort of content marketing, it's all over the place, or you haven't really gotten results. And it really comes down to one simple thing that I see happen over and over again. It gets people that are getting started. It hits people that are struggling to gain traction. And that is that in many ways, you're kind of too broad. We need to create a market of one so that you can rise to the top of the market pool of candidates. When your market, your prospect, your ideal client is looking for you, they see you first and they're like, oh my God, that's the exact person that I need. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people, they start out and they're really broad. We'll say maybe you sell brand identity. There's a lot of people doing brand identity. You're competing against a lot of people. So how are you going to stand out? Because right now, if we look at, this is the total addressable market, or, where you exist, you probably are somewhere in, this region, competing against a lot of different people, struggling to get the price you deserve. So the question is, how do we reposition ourselves so we're in, say, the top 20%? I mean, ideally, top 5% of options for when people are looking for brand identity, that they want to choose us. And really what that comes down to is layering and stacking. Stacking skills, layering interests. So if you do brand identity and then you added on or layered in another criteria, this criteria could be your philosophy, your market. So let's say brand identity for, hey, we do brand identity for co-working spaces. Well, if the automotive dealership came down to you and said, hey, we're looking for help, would you do this? You could say, hey, no, we're the brand identity design shop for co-working, locations. And then you could add potentially, which I don't necessarily recommend, is location. Maybe in the beginning, you're local and there's a lot of co-working, or maybe you're, country-based, you're just in the US, but you can see that you start adding on different criteria. You might do co-working and say, hey, we only do it with 5+ locations. So you're dealing with bigger people, which means, look, you went from everybody, brand identity, to a smaller audience, co-working, to an even more unique market. Now, you're going to say, oh, look, that shape got smaller. But as you look at these different layers, obviously, as long as it's not one, you're going to become known for something. When you go to create content, you're not competing against the brand identity person that works with all those other people. You're competing against the brand identity shop that works for co-working spaces. You could add in here, desires, right? That could be another thing that you add. So I wanted to kind of share some examples of how by doing this, you actually become one of the only options, thus making the decision easy for your prospects. Also, making the decision for you on how to create content, the things you talk about, to get really specific so that you can go after your ideal market. So a first example is one of our clients, Now Designs. They do brand identity for permanent makeup artists, and they've become one of the top options in that space. And what's funny is by doing this for long enough, it's actually exposed a new layer. They have a lot of their clients that now want to launch an online course. So they could even reverse and say, hey, look, we're going to actually focus on permanent makeup artists that only want to launch online courses. You might say, well, Greg, that's a really small market. Actually, it's extremely big. Even those three things, they could hit all of their revenue goals for the next few years and still not exceed this market. And I'm guessing by you layering and stacking things, you'll make yourself stand out from the crowd, rising to the top in that choice. So for example, when I launched my business, it was originally called Systemly. We built funnels and did sales automation for online business owners that sold courses that used Keep, formerly known as Infusionsoft. So when someone came to us and they're like, hey, can you help us? We use Entreport. The answer was no. The amount of awareness and traction that we got just from people saying, hey, these are the guys for online course creators that use Infusionsoft, we got people coming to us. When I would go create content, I would create content for people using Infusionsoft. That little layer, that little stack of this is who we serve, got us recognized by a lot of people. And we very quickly went to 30, 40, 50K months because of that type of focus. And same for you. I even think of this in the software game with ConvertKit. They came out and they were doing email marketing, MailChimp, Constant Contact, all those guys. Over time, they've evolved to the email marketing platform for the creator economy that focus even more on people that are doing newsletters. Now, when someone is like, hey, you hear the term the creator economy and they're going to go use automation, the number of times that ConvertKit gets brought up in those conversations, there's so much brand equity in that it keeps feeding ConvertKit. And for them, like we want you to not be at the bottom of this pool competing over price because you look, sound, and do the same as everybody else, but you rise to the top because of the layers and because of the stacking of the interests, the desires, the beliefs, the types of people that you want to serve, which actually at the end of the day, what it's doing is creating a market of one that you get to be on top of that allows you to stand out from the crowd and differentiate yourself and have people coming to you because you serve that type of person wanting that sort of thing in that style. When you can get that specific, tons of opportunity actually opens up for you. Now, despite what a lot of people think is it gets harder, content creation gets easier, partnership gets easier, advertising gets easier. It's like literally the world of opportunity for you and your business. Growth potential will expand rapidly if you can focus on layering and stacking the interests and the characteristics of the type of person you serve for the type of thing that you specialize in. Hope you found this helpful. If you're not currently in our free Facebook group, I dropped a link to that in the description below. We do free training every single week. We'd love to see you in there. We do and talk about topics just like this. Other than that, we got tons of other videos on this channel. Until next time, have a good one.